So I have a new program and we're just going to practice creating functions with and without parameters. So the first thing that I'm going to do inside of here is I am just going to print something like I am inside of main, just so we can see the flow of control as we're moving from main into our different functions. And if I run this, let's see. It's doing what I expect it to do, telling me that I'm inside of main. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go below main and we're going to create a function that just prompts the user for their name, and it's going to say thank you or welcome to my function. I'm glad to have you here, or something like that. So we're going to create the function definition, or define what the function is going to do inside of here. So this is going to be a friendly greeting. So let's create it. We're going to use the keyword void. Remember, that means that the function is not returning anything to us, and then we need some kind of a name. I'll call it friendly greeting, and then the parentheses are the defining characteristic of a function, an opening and closing curly brace. And so I'm going to put a comment on this saying that this, on the closing brace, saying that this is in the function. And all I'm going to do inside of here is we're going to create a string variable called name. I am going to prompt them for their name. I'm going to say, hello, what is your name? Or something equally friendly. We will read that value in. And then I'm just going to mirror back something like, hello, George. I'll put an exclamation point. Welcome to my function. An exclamation there because that is also very excited. So this is a very simple function. It has no parameters, and now I have my friendly greeting. I'll even put it in here. The definition. But C++ will not know what it is, unlike Java or Python for that matter, which is able to search all around a class file. Notice there is no class file here. Instead, C++ needs it to be organized. So if I'm going to define the function below, spell definition, right? If I'm going to define it below, then I'm going to have to declare it above. So I'm going to come up here and we are going to declare our function above main before we use it. So I'm going to create a spot here to declare any functions that I might be using. Now, the declaration is just the method signature, also known as the method prototype. So I'm just going to copy that since I now have it made. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to paste it, and then I'm going to close it with my parenthesis or my semicolon. Notice I don't have closing braces or opening braces. It is literally just the prototype or the method signature, function signature, excuse me. And now we're going to do the third part of it, which is to call it. So I'm going to go back into main and I'm just going to call it by name, and it is called friendly greeting. It is a function, so it does need the parentheses. I'm just going to call it by name. We'll run it and see if it actually prompts me for their name. As a matter of fact, I'm also going to put inside of here a graceful close. So you can see that we are back in main. Okay, that's about as corny as I can get at any one given moment. There you go. So I run my program. I can see that we were in main because it's printing my statement in main. What is my name? So I'm going to key in my name, and then it is going to mirror back that greeting. It comes back to main and it says how it gives my graceful close. So I can see that the flow of control from main into my functions and back. All right, so how about if we do a function, we'll do another one more. So I'm going to come down here below. Obviously, I'm still below main. There is my friendly greeting function. If I'm using multiple functions, I can come below main. I see that there's my main on 28. So let's do another function called smile. And we'll do the smile definition. Oh, I almost spelled it right this time. The smile definition, this is also going to be void. We're going to call it smile. We'd need the parentheses with the opening and closing braces. Now I could have put it below my friendly greeting or above my friendly greeting. I am going to put them both below main just because the first thing that I'm going to see when I come into my program is I'm going to see main. If I scroll up here, I see any includes, I see any function declarations, and then I see main. And if I want to know what those functions do, I can come scroll down here to the definition. So the smile. We are actually going to get our ASCII art skills on. So we're going to see if we can draw a smiley face using ASCII art. So the cout, we're going to put it inside. I'll even force a new line inside it here with the enter key. I'm going to copy this and put it on my clipboard because this is going to be the basic template of our ASCII art. So inside of this text field, I'm going to put 0, space 0, space 0, space 0. And that is going to be the beginning of my ASCII art. I'm going to paste that on my clipboard again, and this time a 0, space dot, space 0. Is this starting to look, okay, maybe not. Let me do the third row of my ASCII art, 0, space, and then we will do 3 dashes, a space, and another 0. That looks like something, right? And our fourth and our final one is going to be space 0, space 0, space 0. And this time I'm going to put a couple of new lines in it. Does that look like a smiley face? All right, so I have my function definition. I'm going to copy the prototype or that signature. I'm going to copy it up here, and I'm going to put it in my declarations. Oop, I must have missed a closing brace. There we go. Now I should be able to run it. So there's my graceful close. Push that down just a little bit, and I'm going to call it by name. And we'll run it. So I can tell I'm in my first one. So there's my smiley face. It's got to warm the cockles of your heart, right? All right, so since you're doing so good with your ASCII art, how about let's add another face inside of here. Oh, nope, I don't have it on my clipboard anymore. All right, fine. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to steal the first one. I do have a couple of new lines between that. I'm going to steal the first one. And you say to yourself, it's not really a smile, right? Okay, fine. So what I'm going to put inside of here, let me copy that back. I'll put this one on my clipboard. And then what we're going to put inside of here is a space, dot, space, dot, space. All right, what in the heck is this? It is supposed to be a smiley face. So then I'll say dot, space, and then I'm going to do a lowercase o and a space, lowercase o, space, another dot. Oh, it looks like something. The third line of my smiley face is going to be a dot and then a space. And what I really want is a backslash. I seem to have lost my backslash. An underscore and then a forward slash. Oops, that's a forward slash. And then we'll go over here with the dot. Okay, that might look like a smile. I'm not a great ASCII artist, but that might look like a smile. But you may notice that that backslash is the escape sequence character. So the only way that I'm going to get that backslash in there is to tell the escape that I don't want it to be on the escape sequence. I actually want it to be a backslash. And then we're going to put our last and final one will be the space dot, space dot, space dot. And our new line. We'll even force a couple of new lines in there. And let's see what this crazy smile looks like. I don't have to define it again. I don't have to declare it again. And I don't have to call it again. Let's just run it. All right, so cross your fingers. We'll put in a name. It's my effort at ASCII art. And so one of the beautiful things about a function is once I have my function up and running and I have done testing on it and I know that my function is running, all I have to do is call it by name. And every single time that I call it by name, it will run the logic. So let's see if we can run. I have two functions. Let's see if we can get it to smile a couple of times and prompt me for my name a couple of times. So this is the prompt. Now I have a couple of smiles. It smiled at me 4 times and it prompted me for my name again. So that is the beauty of a function, is that it encapsulates the code so that every time I call it by name, it will run it. All right, so let's try a function that has parameters. So how about if we create a function that calculates the volume of a fish tank? I could have used the volume of my dog's dish, but that's actually a circle. So we'll use a fish tank instead. When I do a handy dandy Google search to find out how to calculate the volume of a fish tank or the volume of a cube or something, it's going to be the length multiplied by the height multiplied by the width. So Google gets it right all the time, right? We don't ever have to check that. Anyway, so we're going to create a function that's going to do this for us. And we will, it doesn't have to return anything to it. And so we're going to call this one volume. In order to be able to calculate the volume of something, they're going to have to pass me parameters, right? So I have my opening and closing brace. They're going to have to pass me the length, the height, and the width. I'm not going to prompt for it myself. They're going to have to pass it to me. So I'm going to say int length, comma separated from int height, comma separated from int width. I could have made those floating points if I wanted to, because measurements generally can be floating point values. And so now that I have those 3 values, I am just going to calculate it. All I have to do is say, so we're going to create an int variable called volume. This will be a lowercase int variable called volume. I'm going to set it equal to length multiplied by height multiplied by width. My apologies, my dogs have taken it into their heads to have a play date right now. And then I'm just going to output what the volume is. All right, looks like they've gone outside to play. So I have output on line 63. I want it to say the volume of a tank 10 by 2 by 9 is, and then display the volume. So I built the print statement to be able to do that. So now I have my function definition. I am going to copy the prototype or the declaration. I'm going to copy and paste that up here into my declaration section, and then I can use it. So I'm going to come down into main. I'm going to call it by name, but this time, notice how it's unhappy. This time I have to pass it 3 arguments. They're called arguments when I'm passing them, when I'm calling the function, they're arguments. And so I'm going to say 10, comma separated from 2, comma separated from 15. 10 by 2 is 20 times 15 is should be 300, right? So let's see if we run it and we get through. So we'll put in a name, another name, and there it says the volume of a tank 10 by 2 by 15 is 300. Looks like I need to separate the is from the 15. But it seems like I am passing parameters to it. So let me come down here and I'll put a space before that is, because I'm going to make sure that my user interface is very friendly. So as you well know, I just passed it on line 33 integer literals. I could create int variables like var1, and we could set it equal to 20. And then I can call it again. And this time I could pass it literals and variables. We called that var1 and 12. This time, can I do that math? let's see, 10 times 20 is 200 times 12. That should be 200 times 12 should be 2400. 2400. Let's run it and see if my math is okay. So I run it. Oh, 2400. Excellent. So I can pass it literals, I can pass it variables, or any combination of the two. Now, one of the things that we did say is that I could actually set default values. So let's say, for instance, length, height, and width. What happens if they didn't pass me the width? I can default the width to 100. And all I have to do is set my parameter value to some default value. All right, and since I am defining them down here and declaring them up there, I actually am going to change the default value from this definition. I'm going to go up in the declaration and I'm going to put it there up here in the declaration. So I am going to set it equal to 100. I could have it in both places. If I am not declaring my functions above main, if I was actually defining my functions above main, then I would just put that default value. All right, so now I'm going to have a default value for width. So I'm going to come back down here and we're going to try it where I only have 2 variables. And if I don't have that third variable, it will automatically default width to 100. So here is the run of the program. This is when I passed it 3 variables. This is when I only passed it 2 variables. And if you'll notice, that third variable is 100 because since there were only 2 arguments, the third parameter defaulted to the default value that I gave it. So what do you think will happen? I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it down here. I'll push down my graceful close a little bit. And now I'm only going to put 1 value in it. What do you think that's going to happen if I only have 1 argument? Well, I can see that it's unhappy already because Visual Studio is underscoring that. If I run the debugger or if I try to run it, it's telling me that there's errors. Because I only have 1 of the 3 parameters that is defaulted, which means that I can only have I have to have at least 2, if not 3 arguments that I am passing to it. So I'll put a note on that saying, I'll just comment it out, put a note that's saying that's invalid because I have to have at least 2 arguments because only 1 of the 3 is defaulted. All right, so we're going to give you a chance to practice parameters, passing parameters. So I want you to create a program. You're going to prompt the user for the length and width of a room. You're going to pass those values to a function called area that is going to calculate the area of the room and display it within the function. As always, I want a friendly greeting and a graceful close, and you're going to display all relevant information. You need to include inline comments and test cases.